Welcome to the presentation on solar power generation technologies. It is my pleasure to give you a talk on this topic, power generation technologies, on the occasion of ACT Atal sponsor program and this solar thermal energy. Yesterday we have the discussion on solar thermal energy collection and storage methods by Dr. Srinivas Reddy, IIT Chennai, and also extended by one more speaker from Agriculture University on solar thermal applications and agriculture field. Now today what I am going to cover is out of these three elements, that is collection, store and utilization. The utilization part I am covering. In the utilization part, especially power generation system, how to generate many outputs from single source of energy. That is my main focus. And anyhow, the source is the solar energy, solar thermal energy. Sometimes solar PVT also integrated, because sometimes we need to supply parasitic power. To meet the parasitic power, that's to operate the fans, pumps, etc. PV support also we can take. Then that becomes the PV by T, that is photovoltaic and thermal combination. The outcome of this lecture is to understand the concept of power generation and the basic elements of power generation, like power plant and desalination, the water production, the cooling, air conditioning, etc. Nowadays the information is available at the field level. For example, air conditioning system. Air conditioning system is completely, it is mature technology. And power plant also, most of the conventional power plants and some of the power plants, the technology is well developed. But the thing is how to combine these available technologies to get the benefits of the more effective benefits from the source of single source of energy or hybrid source of energy. Our needs are plenty, like electricity, drinking water, food storage, cooking, fuel, space control, water, lighting, etc. Nowadays everybody are using the smartphone. Why everybody are using smartphone? Because of the features. They have so many apps like WhatsApp. Not only calling the phone, using the phone, there are plenty other applications like internet using, etc. Because of this poly use of that nature of the smartphone, that is the smartphone is friend to each and everyone. Similarly, in energy systems also, a polygen unit can be generated to meet our plenty benefits, like starting from electricity, that is a power generation, to other applications. The advantage of this type of system is we can save the space for each and every individual systems, as well as to get the benefit of overall energy conversion efficiency. The main objective of this presentation is to develop a novel power generation plant. I am also going to demonstrate the one case study on power generation at the laboratory level. And also the research point of view, the individual yields can be increased, like desalination. In case of the plant is dedicated for desalination and air conditioning, how to maximize the output, individual outputs or total output from the power generation unit. As mentioned, the learning outcomes are understanding the power generation and design innovation and development of power generation plant. I am going to touch a few points on design and modeling, simulation, as well as optimization of the power generation unit. The first benefit is this integration results a higher efficiency with low space requirement. This higher efficiency, one of the challenge actually I can say, for example, two systems are integrated together. System A has one efficiency, let us say efficiency for system A, and system B has another efficiency for the system B. If you are operating these two systems, for example, system A and system B separately, what benefits we will get? We will get the benefits, two benefits, that is A plus B, where the input of energy supply to system A and energy supply to the system B. So if you want to find the combined efficiency for the two systems, even
सर वॉइस नहीं आ रही है, नो वॉइस।
hello, is it audible now?
यस सर।
Yes, sir.
Sir, you are audible.
Okay, some participants they have maybe some problem, speaker problem. Also, if my voice is not audible, I will switch off and I will rejoin. Let me know voice is audible or not.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Voice
sir,
is
you are
audible.
audible.
Definitely it is audible, sir.
Okay, okay, thank you. I will continue. Maybe one or two participants, maybe some problem, system problem, I think so. The main justification of this poly generation is, okay, I just now I explained the total efficiency if the two systems are operated independently. For example, a power plant and there is one refrigerator is operated independently. How we will calculate the total efficiency, the total performance, that is a total output divided by total input to the individual systems. So okay, we are getting one efficiency, keep it in one side. And now in our case, integrated energy systems, where instead of operating the systems independently, separately, what we are doing here, we are combining the systems. Two systems we are combining in a new system. Now you can't see a system separately, system A and system B. There is a new system, I can call that is a system C. System C has the characteristics of system A and system B. Now again I am calculating the efficiency of the system C, which is integrated energy system. In the justification of this integrated energy system, what we have to justify, the system C efficiency should be more than the total efficiency of system A and system B. If you are able to show the economic justification and engineering technical justification, then that is verified well in terms of thermoeconomic point of view. Otherwise, we have to drop that idea, so that we have to maybe some more scope to improve certain adding some elements or ideas, improve the elements. And one more advantage of this integrated energy systems and poly generation is space. Yes, I am saying the system C instead of system A plus system B in installation. The new system is having the characteristics of multiple systems. Within small space, we can install the new system of integrated energy system. And it satisfies multiple needs from the single or hybrid source of energy. Now I am saying the single source of energy, maybe solar energy may be used directly, or maybe solar energy may be hybridized with some other conventional or non-conventional source of energy. I will give one example of hybrid source of energy. So obviously solar energy has certain limitations, like it is intermittent in nature and dilute power, that is watts per meter square, maybe 1000 watt per meter square, slightly above and below the 1000 watt per meter square availability. That is very thin compared to other source of energy. And storage is required because based on the demand, that is the demand always needs demands always needs the constant supply of energy. So these are the difficulties associated with the solar energy. And one more difficulty is the costly equipment towards the collection as well as the storage system. And if you consider one more energy system, the biomass power plant, biomass system, the biomass, there is no issues related like intermittent or dilute in nature. Biomass we can run continuously, that means 24 hours we can run the biomass, but the issue is the availability of the biomass. Sometimes there is scarcity of the fuel, that is the biomass is there. So if we are combining the solar with the biomass or some other energy like wind energy, etc., what happens, the individual limitations of each and every energy source can be subsidized, and so that the hybridized source of energy has the characteristics of all positive characteristics we can find in the hybridized source of energy. That means, for example, there is a minus into minus is equal plus, like that. If you are going hybridization of this energy system, you will get the combined benefits. Similarly, the technology also, the integrated energy technology also will get the combined benefit out of limitations of individual energy systems operation. And the great flexibility we can expect from these integrated energy systems, because the demand sometimes it will change seasonally. For example, the air conditioning is there. Seasonally, the demand will change and power demand also will change. To meet the customer demand, that is variations in the customer demand, a flexibility to be designed in this type of integrated energy systems. Obviously, definitely, it is possible to add this type of flexibility in the operation as well as the meeting the demand of the customer expectations. Now I am showing one example of this poly generation system through the gasification route. Gasification is one of the process where the solid fuel is converted into the gaseous fuel. Solid fuel has certain problems like lower calorific value and emission point of view, the environmental point of view, some lot of issues in emissions, etc. So to enrich the quality of solid fuel and calorific value and to make the environmental friendly, the solid fuel can be converted into the gaseous fuel. The coal is converted into the gaseous fuel, that is called as coal gasifier. Similarly, biomass also, any solid waste or biomass also can be converted into the solid fuel. So how this type of gasifier can be used in the poly generation unit is, see here, I am showing the first one is, this is the vertical column is the gasifier where the solid fuel has been feed to this gasifier, and at the exit you can see the producer gas. Top you can see the producer gas and also some byproducts. Charcoal is coming as a byproducts. In case steam is supplied, this is the steam gasifier where more amount of H2O water vapor will generate, so that from H2O hydrogen can be separated using the steam methane reforming reaction and shift reaction, that is the shift reaction. Or without steam also it is possible to gasification, that air gasification is possible, but where the H2 content is less compared to the steam gasification. So in this either atmospheric air can be supplied, that is a restricted amount of atmospheric air I am saying. This is because here internally what happens, the partial oxidation takes place, or oxygen also can be supplied to enrich the quality of the fuel. So at the exit of this gasifier, what is the product here? The main product is a gaseous fuel. This gaseous fuel can be used for either for power generation or for another applications like fuel, chemicals, cooking, transportation, etc. And also we can see the hydrogen separation, where hydrogen can be used for the fuel cell to operate the fuel cell or to operate any other conventional power plant, that's a gas power plant. Now the two power plants are combined together here. One is gas turbine power plant, and you can see the bottoming cycle is the steam power plant, Rankine cycle. So this combined cycle power plant has the highest efficiency, I can say, in the conventional technologies, approximately equal to 60%. From this combined cycle power plant, you are extracting electricity from generator operated by this gas turbine. Similarly, one more generator, it is operated by the steam turbine. Actually, combined cycle also one type of integrated energy system. The gas power plant which is operating in the Brayton cycle, it has the limitation of heat rejection at high temperature, around 650 or 700 degrees centigrade. but it has one positive, the heat source, the gas turbine combustion chamber, it is heat source is maintained above 1000 degrees centigrade. Carnot point of view, that is good, but on the another side, the heat rejection at the higher temperature. On the other side, if you see the Rankine cycle, steam Rankine cycle, the source is at 550 to 600 degrees centigrade. That is low compared to 1000 degrees centigrade. The source is operated at the high temperature. And what about the sink to steam turbine power plant? The steam, that is this condenser, steam condenser is operating at 45 to 50 degrees centigrade. That is a low temperature compared to 650 or 1000 degrees centigrade. So individually, the Brayton cycle has a limitation of heat rejection, and Rankine cycle has a limitation of heat source, that's at 650 or 600 degrees centigrade. Now these two energy systems are combined together using this heat recovery steam generator, what we are calling as HRSG. In this HRSG, what is happening? We are seeing the system, that is a GTST based combined cycle system. The source is at 1000 degrees centigrade, slightly above the 1000 degrees centigrade, and sink is at 50 degrees centigrade. We are not minding the heat rejection of this exhaust gas, and we are not minding the temperature of steam at the inlet of the turbine, because both are integrated. That's minus and minus, these two are integrated. Now for the single system, the combined cycle is operating at the higher temperature, source is at higher temperature, sink is at the low temperature. This is the benefit we are getting with the example of this combined cycle power plant. And coming to poly generation system, the main product here is the power generation. In addition to the power generation, we can also extract some other benefits like process heat, fuel, like hydrogen, and we can also operate some other power plants like fuel cells, etc. The observations are saying the individual systems are developed very well, like engines, refrigeration, power plants, etc. And also what our contribution is in this poly generation is, well, initially we made some studies. Okay, like combined cycle, the gas turbine is has affinity to combine with the steam power plant. Similarly, in poly generation system, is there any systems having a common elements like common characteristics? If you are finding two systems, system A and system B, they have common systems, then automatically it is possible to combine together into a new system. So desalination is one of the element we are incorporated into the poly generation system. But which type of desalination is better for incorporation of desalination, that's poly generation along with some other elements like air conditioning system? We identified some common elements and common process between the HDH desalination, heating, that's first HDH is humidification, dehumidification, desalination, and some of the process involved in the air conditioning system, like again humidification as well as the dehumidification process. That's why we combined, we took this HDH water cycle as one of the main element in the poly generation system. And one more element I am going to add here is the Kalina power plant, where we can generate the electricity at the lower temperature. In thermal route I am saying, anyhow PV route already we have the solar field, but if somebody wants to generate the electricity at the lower temperature, very close to 100 degrees centigrade, either below or slightly above the 100 degrees centigrade, the steam power plant is not suitable to recover the heat as well as to generate the power. Therefore, some alternative cycles are required. Kalina cycle is one of the best cycle we can adopt to convert the heat into the electricity through the thermal route. Apart from this Kalina power plant, some other competitors also, competitive cycles also available now in market, the organic Rankine cycle, some organic flash cycle, etc. I mentioned few examples in GTST based combined cycle power plant, and what I am going to explain in future coming Kalina or HDH based poly generation system, we can design a new system as per our expectations. My observation, we have to do the research from customer point of view. If you discuss with the customer what is his expectations and the need, then it is easy to devise a new system. Otherwise, if you are devising a system in our laboratory and again you are sending to the market to reach the customer, it may fail because it may not reach the expectations of the customer. That's why instead of starting from laboratory research to customer level, better to do the research in the reverse direction. Reverse direction means get the feedback from the customer and identify his expectations. As per his expectations and identification and feedback, etc., then we can devise technology so that exactly the customer needs can be satisfied. So here I am giving an example. There is a one system. The system needs the load carrying capacity and the speed. If you see the system A and system B, system A has the capacity of only load carrying capacity, system B has the capacity of only speed. But next system, system C is a single system only, it is not the individual system. This from single system we are getting two benefits. That is the advantage of this hybridization. So I am giving one engineering example, technical example. This is combined power and cooling cycle. This is also called as a cooling cogeneration cycle. In this cooling cogeneration cycle, what we are expecting, we can generate electricity as in a regular cycle of like a Rankine cycle. In addition to the electricity, we can also generate some cooling. The cooling can be used either refrigeration or air conditioning depending upon the application. First, let me show the very fundamental working of this combined power and cooling cycle, because here this drawing I prepared based on the experimental photos. I will explain the basic cycle now. Are you able to see the animation? Hello?
Yes, sir.
No,
Yes,
sir,
sir.
not. Yes.
Video working?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's working.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir, it is.
Animation is working.
Yeah.
Yes, sir, yes, sir.
I want to explain the basic principle of this cooling cogeneration cycle. See here, this is almost close to the Rankine cycle, where Rankine cycle has the basic elements of turbine, the expansion and condensation. This is the condenser, pumping and boiler. These four are the common elements between the Rankine cycle and this cooling cogeneration cycle. But Rankine cycle is working on pure substance single fluid system. This is a this type of Kalina or cooling cogeneration cycle is working on binary fluid system. Binary fluid means two systems are combined together. Two fluids are combined together here, fluid A and fluid B. In case of Kalina, ammonia has been combined. It's mixed with the water. So I can call that working fluid as aqua ammonia. The advantage of using binary fluid system in this type of cooling cogeneration is we can get the benefit of variable temperature during the phase change. Thus, in a single fluid system, what is happening? The temperature of working fluid is constant during boiling or condensation. The hot gas temperature is gradually decreasing in the boiler, where there is a temperature difference is more. It results the more irreversibility and exergy loss. But if two fluids are system, that's binary fluid system is used, the hot fluid temperature is decreasing, and parallelly the cold fluid temperature is also increasing continuously in the boiler, including evaporation. The sensible heating and latent heating, everywhere continuously the working fluid temperature is increasing. So there is a close match between the hot fluid temperature and the cold fluid temperature. So it will result a minimum amount of entropy generation, where we can expect a minimum exergy loss. That is possible with this type of binary fluid system. Let me explain the working fluid. First, I'm starting with the turbine inlet. The working fluid is expanding in the turbine, the vapor turbine, and then it is condensed as usual in the Rankine cycle. After that, it has three pressures: the high pressure, intermediate pressure, and the low pressure. After condensing this fluid, from the intermediate pressure to the low pressure, it is throttled. The liquid is throttled. Same like in a the refrigeration plant, vapor compression refrigeration system, once the liquid is throttling from one pressure to the another pressure, what we can expect? We can expect the low temperature. Even the temperature will result below 0 degrees centigrade. So that fluid can be used to extract the heat from the surroundings. Same like in vapor compression refrigeration system or vapor absorption refrigeration system. This is working on vapor absorption refrigeration system because we are not using any mechanical compressor. In place of mechanical compressor, we are using thermal compressor. Mechanical compressor needs electricity to operate the compressor, whereas the thermal compressor, it needs the thermal energy, which is low grade energy, to operate the thermal compressor. So after throttling, the heat has been absorbed in the evaporator, where evaporation takes place. That vapor is absorbed in the absorber, where the weak solution is mixed with the vapor and both combined together absorber. Absorber is also more or less, it is similar to the operation of the condenser. The liquid is completely, the vapor is completely condensed with the saturated liquid form, and this liquid is again pumped to the boiler, where boiling the elements like economizer, evaporator takes place, and finally this is the superheater. This is a superheater. So in the boiling, what we are generating the superheated fluid, that's vapor. That vapor is expanding and the cycle is repeating. So in this basic cycle, what we are expecting, this is a single cycle. I am not showing you two cycles, like the power plant cycle is separate and refrigeration cycle is separate. This is running on single cycle only, but from single cycle we can generate electricity as well as this refrigeration unit in the evaporator. That is the main basic principle of this cooling cogeneration cycle. Now you are seeing the elements, experimental laboratory elements of this cooling cogeneration cycle. This is the turbine, this is a radial flow turbine and condenser. After the condenser, it is going to subcooler. This is not mandatory, this is optional, subcooler is optional, and throttling device, and then it is entering into the evaporator. After that, it goes to the absorber, where the weak solution is coming from the boiler. See, in the boiler there is vapor and liquid has been separated. From the boiler, the vapor only used for the expansion purpose, whereas the liquid, it is entering, the liquid is a weak solution because the rich ammonia is removed here, that is weak solution is moving, and this is throttling from high pressure to the low pressure, so that it is allowing the mixing process at the lower pressure. After absorbing, this fluid is completely condensed into the saturated liquid, and again it goes to the pump onto the boiler. This is a thermal boiler, where we can call this as a thermal compressor. Okay, coming to the flexibility, what type of flexibility we can expect from this cooling cogeneration cycle? The fundamentals as well as this design, modeling, simulation, everything is reported in this book. We can, those who are interested, you may refer this flexible Kalina cycle system. We are starting from the properties of this binding fluid system to thermodynamic process and Kalina power plant, different versions of Kalina power plant, and finally the extension of Kalina power plant to the different flexible cooling cogeneration has been explained in this book. And coming to the flexibility, how flexibility has been incorporated in this cooling cogeneration cycle is, and I will give one example in heat transfer laboratory. In mechanical engineering at the BTech level, we did experiment on heat exchanger. Actually, that experiment consists of two parts. One part is parallel flow heat exchanger. The second is a counter flow heat exchanger. We don't have two heat exchangers. Only one heat exchanger we have to operate for the experiment on parallel flow heat exchanger, and the same heat exchanger we have to use to do the experiment on counter flow heat exchanger. Similarly, here also the cooling cogeneration cycle of the plant is single only, but we can operate in different versions. Let us say I am showing here the 4 versions here. The first one is the power plant mode. KCS means is a Kalina cycle system, the power plant mode, and second column shows the VR. This is the refrigeration cooling mode, only cooling mode I am saying, vapor absorption refrigeration mode. And third is combined power and cooling mode, KCCC, Kalina cooling cogeneration cycle, once through operation. So this third column results power as well as the cooling in the once through operation. The last one is Kalina cooling cogeneration cycle, that is a combined cooling cogeneration cycle, the split mode, but this is also resulting power as well as the cooling. But last one has the flexibility. We can choose the quantity of power or quantity of cooling. How this type of versions are available? Same like he experiment on heat exchanger. What we did from parallel to counter flow, there are 4 valves in heat exchanger: V1, V2, V3, V4. So V2, V4 is open and V1, V3 is closed. We will result one set of experiment. Vice versa, another set of experiment we practice in the heat transfer laboratory. Similarly, here there are 2 valves. We are calling it as splitter S1 and S2. These S1 and S2 can be open to superheater or open to the condenser side and open to the superheater, and partially it is open to get the flexibility to meet the demand, or S2 also open to the power plant and it may be closed to get the cooling, and it may be open to the condenser, it may be open to the power system. So based on this combination of this position of this splitter S1 and S2, we can result 4 versions of this operation, the cooling cogeneration cycle. So the first one shows the power plant mode. In this power plant mode, see the source is solar energy is the source. This is also hybridized with the standby system, fuel fired standby system. We are using both the solar system and supported by standby fuel firing system, maybe biomass or any other liquid fuels. So with this source, how the working fluid is operating? See, the working fluid coming from the boiler, it is entering into the superheater coil and later it is expanding in the turbine. Since it is only power plant, it is expanded. After expanding, this is completely bypassed to the refrigeration plant. It is not entering into the refrigeration elements like throttling device, evaporator, condenser, throttling and evaporator. These 3 are common in both vapor compression refrigeration system and also vapor absorption refrigeration system. Only difference is mechanical compressor and thermal compressor, but the condensation, throttling and evaporation is common in both the cases, VR and VCR system. So this working fluid after expansion, what it is doing, it is mixing with the weak solution. After mixing, it is entering into the absorber, and this internal heat recovery is also option. Same like subcooler, low temperature regenerator and high temperature regenerator allows the internal heat recovery. So this internal heat recovery helps to improve the efficiency of the overall system, the power plant cycle efficiency or combined cycle efficiency. Then after absorption, as usual, it goes to the pump and then it is the boiler. Now you see just thick lines, the blue lines, see, just watch the blue lines. It is only power plant. I can say this is a Kalina power plant, Kalina cycle, excluding this refrigeration system. In the second mode, the same experiment, that is same laboratory setup, without changing the components or without switching into another plant, what we are operating, the working fluid is bypassed to the turbine. So the working fluid is directly, it is supplied to the condenser, throttling and evaporator. These are the main components of the refrigeration system, and then followed by thermal compressor. Here all the process are involved to the vapor absorption refrigeration system. So I can say this blue line shows the vapor absorption refrigeration cycle, and this plant is resulting only cooling effect. It's not resulting any electricity because this is the working fluid is completely bypassed to the expansion. The turbine is not operating because there is no working fluid entering into the turbine, and the entire 100% working fluid is entering into the refrigeration components only. That's why it is generating only cooling effect. Third model, see, this is the third version of this cooling cogeneration cycle. In this third version of cooling cogeneration cycle, this is also called as once through cycle. Why it is once through cycle? Entire working fluid is 100% working fluid is moving all the components without any separation or without any bypass. There is no bypass in this tight cycle. In this tight cycle, see the working fluid is entering in the superheater, turbine, condenser, throttling, evaporator, thermal compressor. So, as per my explanation, working principle explained in the animation, this combined cycle operation is resulting simultaneously, it is resulting electricity as well as the cooling effect. So that's why it is called as a special type of cogeneration cycle. Generally, cogeneration is defined electricity with the process heat. Electricity with the process heat. If the process heat is used for a refrigeration system, that special cogeneration is called as cooling cogeneration. So here the outputs in addition to the electricity, we are generating cooling effect. That's why it is called as cooling cogeneration cycle. The fourth version, the last version, is showing the great flexibility in cooling cogeneration version. That's the fourth version. How the flexibility is designed here. For example, in summer we need more cooling effect. Yes, winter that much cooling not necessary, but winter maybe some other demand may be coming through the electricity. Electricity demand may increase. So depending upon the climatic conditions or seasonal variations, the plant has to provide some flexibility so that the customer will get the benefit of switching to either power mode, cooling mode, or variation in the power, or variation vice versa, variation in the cooling effect. So here, how to make this variation? There is one splitter at the end of the boiler. At the end of the boiler, you can see before superheater and also before this refrigeration components, there is a splitter. The working fluid can be separated. So this working fluid can be separated. For example, the working fluid is 50-50. 50% of the mass is entering into the turbine side. After turbine, it is separately entering into the mixer, and remaining 50% of the mass is entering into the refrigeration plant. As refrigeration plant is operated independently, and power plant is also operated independently with the separate mass, a separate working fluid. That means same working fluid, but mass is separate. That is 50-50 or 60-40 or etc. depending upon the requirement. So here there is a flexibility has been provided in the power generation as well as the cooling generation in the evaporator. So that's why in the fourth version there is a flexibility has been given in the splitter side. So these all four versions has been practiced in the experimental laboratory, that using the cycles, the Kalina cycle power plant and also vapor absorption refrigeration system. We are calling the single plant. It's not the two plants. It's not two plant system. It's a single plant system only. In this single plant system, since the working fluid is aqua ammonia, that's binary fluid system, we should not go for this copper or copper based copper family like bronze, etc. because that ammonia is we can't use ammonia in case of copper or related metals. So that's why it's completely the iron or steel can be used. We use the steel, the high grade steel, since it is a chemical related plant. And the heat exchangers has been designed. As in the main objective, I mentioned the design of the systems. On the heat exchanger, we can do both rating as well as the sizing. In the rating, as per the thermodynamics, rating can be calculated. That is how much kilowatts of heat we have to design the generator or internal heat recovery, like low temperature regenerator, high temperature regenerator, and subcooler, etc., including superheater, condenser, etc. That is the rating. That means heat quantity, how much heat has to be transferred, maybe absorption or the rejection. After finishing the rating, the second step is the sizing. Okay, based on the fluid control, that's the mass flow rate of the fluid, and temperature, that is the inlet temperature, outlet temperature for the hot fluid, and similarly inlet and outlet temperature of the cold fluid. What we can do, we can find the overall heat transfer coefficient. Overall heat transfer coefficient for this heat exchanger, what extra properties is required. In thermodynamic simulation, only basic properties like thermodynamic properties means enthalpy, energy, temperature, volume, pressure, that's enough. But in sizing, in addition to thermodynamic properties, thermophysical properties is also required. Thermophysical properties are required to find the overall heat transfer coefficient of the heat exchanger. Thermophysical means let's say thermal conductivity of the working fluid, and viscosity of the working fluid. These are the extra properties required for the sizing, but these properties are more complicated because this is a binary fluid system. In addition to the pressure, temperature, the third property required is the concentration. The concentration is changing from 0 to 1. If the concentration is equal to 0, 0 means there is no any ammonia, that is a pure water. If the concentration is equal to 1, that is a pure ammonia. So accordingly, the thermodynamic properties and also thermophysical properties will change from 0 to 1. That's why the generation of the property itself is a complicated process. After generating the properties with variations in the concentration, pressure and temperature, what we can do? We can find the overall heat transfer coefficient at the design conditions. I can say at the optimized conditions. Because we are designing the system at the optimized conditions. Thermodynamic modeling, simulation, and then finally we are doing the optimization. The best condition. Optimization means it is the best conditions. At the best condition, that is the best pressure, best temperature, etc. What we can do? We can find the overall heat transfer coefficient for each and every heat exchanger. That overall heat transfer coefficient and LMTD or some temperature difference, what we can find? We can find the total surface area of the heat exchanger. From the surface area, number of tubes, the thickness of the tube, material, length, everything we can do the calculations. So we can do the process, that's assembly drawing and independent component drawing, so that we can give the instruction to the manufacturing at the fabrication department in the workshop. So in the local industry, in the workshop, all the components has been fabricated as this is a custom based design and fabrication. All the heat exchanger has been fabricated and installed in the laboratory. After installation, we operated, before installation anyhow we have to cross check the leakage, etc. Leakage is one of the big challenge. We arrested successfully at each and every level, with the pre-installation as well as the post-installation. Let me show one heat exchanger. Most of the case we use the falling filling heat exchangers, because the falling filling heat exchanger is a compact heat exchanger. May I know the video is playing to you or not, heat exchanger? I hope this is playing.
Playing, sir.
Okay, thank you. In case any deviation is coming, let me know, please. This is compared to shell and tube heat exchanger, falling filling heat exchanger gives the more heat transfer coefficient, and also compact, in a small place, small volume, more heat transfer will take place. See, let me show the working of this falling filling heat exchanger. See, the liquid is coming, flowing with top header. See the top header, the liquid is falling. Let me say, for example, this is the evaporator. In the evaporator, liquid is coming through the pump, and this is the heated tubes. Hot water, let us say in case solar collector is concentrating collector is used. A thermocoil is coming from the solar collector, and this thermocoil is thermic fluid is flowing through these tubes. So I can say this is a heated tubes. This is the heated tubes. So this liquid is flowing or spraying. Liquid is spraying over this heated tubes. What happens? Evaporation takes place. Immediately evaporation takes place. That vapor can be the generated vapor can be used either for refrigeration plant, in case of it is running on vapor absorption refrigeration cycle mode, or the same vapor can be superheated and then it is expanded in the turbine in case that plant is designed for the power plant like Kalina cycle power plant. So this is the operation of this
Any participant would like to interact with the professor?
Yes, sir. Okay, if anybody wants to interact, no problem. You may ask the question.
Yeah, sure, Professor. Hello.
Hello.
Ji, good morning, sir.
Yeah, good morning.
Sorry, your is to me rather during our whole working experience. This altogether to me it is very sophisticated. It has though the basic little awareness is there about the processor. Sir, normally we have heard about the cold storage, then this thermal generation, and these hydel, and this sort of solar poly generation. I would like to know the practical plants where those things have been installed. A general application where those things, some examples where these are sort of some dominant non-working to the general persons. Some
Okay.
examples, sir. These
Yes,
mostly you have said that these are custom made.
yes, custom based. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
practical, sir. Some non plants you can name.
Sure. Okay. Thank you. Coming to our Indian context, we have many cogeneration plants in sugar industries, cement factories. What they are doing, they are taking the waste heat recovery. That's exhaust gas. For example, if we did some case studies in cement factories. The hot gas is coming from the furnace. First, it is going to the cement industry where the process heat has been generated. After completion of the process heat, still there is a certain heat at 200 degrees centigrade and 300 degrees centigrade. That heat has been used for steam generation where the power has been generated. That what we are calling as cogeneration plant. But this type of poly generation system still it is under research side. I mean one of the slides current state of art. I mentioned the last line. The so far cogeneration level it is well developed at the market level. It is commercialized. Then after finishing the cogeneration, that's cogeneration level. Next is the trigeneration. Trigeneration means in addition to the process heat and electricity, the third component is the cooling. So if the cooling has been incorporated, so you are generating three outputs, then that is called as trigeneration. The trigeneration, just now I saw some of the research institutes, the laboratory level research has been completed. So soon we can see the commercialization of the trigeneration plants in some institutes level or what you mentioned, the cold storage applications. Then I can say trigeneration is one of the example of polygeneration. Nowadays, the trigeneration is research level. It is almost completed. Now, soon we can see the applications of trigeneration at the industrial level. This is my observation in the polygeneration system.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Thank you very much. That's clear.
Any implemented case study in India?
Sure. Kalina cycle based systems, the Australian based companies are coming. They are starting already. So far, I can say nearly 10 plants are erected in throughout the world. I can say in India also soon with the Australian collaboration, we are going to install this type of systems, the Kalina based polygeneration system. So this is also plant. I am showing in a different view, like side view, front view, etc. You can see most of the heat exchangers I incorporated falling film. If the heat exchanger is very simple type like small the superheater or condenser, small condenser, then I use the shell and tube heat exchanger. But where the boiler is more sensitive here, the efficiency of the boiler, performance of the boiler is one of the key parameter in the overall performance of the poly generation. That's why without compromising with the shell and tube heat exchanger, what we did, we designed the boiler with this is the boiler. What I am showing in the front view, this is the boiler. This boiler we designed with the falling film heat exchanger.
What type of condenser? That is, sir, condenser is there, na?
Condenser. You can see the bottom. This is the shell and tube condenser. At the bottom, are you able to see arrow? My browsing. This is the condenser, shell and tube condenser we use. But boiler is not the shell and tube condenser. This is the falling film heat exchanger. From the falling film heat exchanger, we got the benefit of overall heat transfer coefficient. And this is one more example I want to introduce before going to the next topic, next version of poly generation unit. This is the vaporizer lamp. In the vaporizer lamp, see, yesterday Dr. Srinivas Reddy also discussed about the solar PV. If the solar PV efficiency is 20%, 80% of the heat is lost. So, but in the PVT system, PV by T means photovoltaic combined with the thermal. The waste heat also we can recover. We can use either air heater or some other process applications. Similarly, this bulb, see the electrical bulb. The bulb is generally it is designed for lighting, not for heat, but it will generate more heat. That heat is waste, actually speaking. So if that heat is used for some other applications like vaporizing an oil, see here there is a oil, there is a cavity at the top, you can see a cavity. At this cavity you can pour some droplets of oil, so it will spread the fragrance to the whole hall or your house. So the two benefits you are getting, that is the fragrance, the vaporize this oil, that smell, good smell you can see felt in your house as offices. At the same time, you can also get the benefit of lighting.
Is it available in India or outside?
Yeah, I will show this vaporizer. It is available in my office.
Sir, one little again request. In the various different combination to come at variety of those plant customized fabrication. Sir, I would like to know the major basic processes which those plant make use of, sir. In brief, you can, sir, share with me the basic components, sir. Which are the major components in those different plants?
You are asking the process as well as the component.
Just like condensation, evaporation,
Yes.
those steam generation. What are the major components?
Yeah, I will explain in this because I explained like poly means many systems I am showing.
Yeah.
I will address answer for your question in this system.
Right, sir. Okay, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
That's the process level as well as the component level.
Sir,
Okay.
So request the participants to interact at the end of the session. So there are some more content to share with you.
I would like to interact at the end of this section because now time 10:30. Definitely I will take more time otherwise. After finishing let me complete the presentation, then I will interact all the participants. Thank you for the interaction. So this slide I am putting not to explain various desalination systems because I identified desalination is one of the key elements in my poly generation design. We have many processes like thermal desalination route, membrane, chemical, adsorption or etc. Out of this you can see the thermal route, heat addition and heat extraction. This is a freezing type. This may not be good for our country except Jammu and Kashmir. Let me take the HDH, humidification, dehumidification. This is working. It's working on water cycle principle. How we will get the rain? That's cloud formation and cooling of the cloud into rain water form. That's the condensation. So that's the basic principle of this HDH cycle. Even you can see from split AC. From split AC or window AC, you can see some droplets of water. That is also one form of HDH cycle. So in split AC, you are able to see the condensation in the water form. Similarly, if the air conditioning system is combined with this type of desalination, that is HDH type of desalination. So from single system, we will get the two benefits like desalination plant and also air conditioning or refrigeration plant. The atmospheric air of huge amount of water in the moisture form. We are able to tap this water from the atmospheric air. So it is a generation of water without any source. We are not using any water supply. There is no any water supply or there is no any energy supply. Simply by putting some screens or some by means of providing some surface, cooling surface, whatever it may be. So we can condense the atmospheric air. So that condensate we can collect as a water, where the villages or water scarcities are there. So based on this working principle, what we made is we devised the tri-generation plant. What I mentioned earlier, there is one tri-generation plant. And the tri-generation, as per the name itself, tri means it is a 3 benefits from single or hybrid source of energy. The figure shows two energy supply. One is solar energy. Solar energy, in concentrated solar energy is used, and as well as non-focused solar energy in the form of solar water heater is also used for the hot water generation. This focused solar concentrating collector is used to raise the temperature of working fluid at the higher temperature. And in addition to this solar energy, the biomass also has been used as a hybridized system, as maybe standby system. I will show the working principle of the tri-generation at the component level and also the process level. Let me take some extra time to explain each and every components and process. See, let me start with state 1. Atmospheric air is enters into the compressor. The air is heated. The air is heated in the solar concentrating collector. The same like Brayton cycle. So the temperature of air is increased. See the green color. Temperature of the air is increased using fuel firing system and also solar concentrating collector. The high temperature, that is heated, high pressurized fluid is expanded in the turbine or air expander, where the thermal energy is converted into the electricity. And later, it is supplying heat to the vapor absorption refrigeration system. This vapor absorption refrigeration no need to explain, because I covered in the cooling cogeneration cycle, where the components of throttling, that's condensation, throttling, and evaporation takes place. And later, the heat has been supplied to the water plant. See, in the water plant, the green color line goes into the first stage water cycle. In the first stage water cycle, I am explaining only first stage water cycle. In first stage water cycle, first air is preheated, the air preheater, then it goes to the air column. In this column, humidifier column, there is a packing, the plastic packing, and some material has been incorporated. And at the top of this column, hot water has been sprayed. How this hot water is coming? This hot water is coming through the solar water heating system. From the solar water heater system, you may use raw water, groundwater, or any sea water, so that salt can be removed in this water cycle system. So the saline water has been sprayed in the humidifier, where humidification takes place. How humidification takes place? At the bottom, we are supplying the air, the preheated air, and then top we are collecting the humid air, then it is going to a heat exchanger. In this heat exchanger, we can provide the cooling surface, maybe circulating the cooling water, or we can use the chiller of vapor absorption refrigeration system or vapor compression refrigeration system. What happens? You can feel like a rain effect. So humidification in the first column and dehumidification in the second column results in the desalination. So this desalination has been integrated with the cooling cycles. At the right hand side, you can see the second stage of operation. In the second stage of HDH desalination, what is doing? This condenser, the condenser coil is directly coupled to the chiller coil, or maybe chilled water can be used. So the chilled water is condensing the atmospheric air. So the water is fully condensed. It is resulting the desalinated water. At the end, at the bottom of this collector, we can see this is a desalinated water. Some disturbance is coming. Please mute your voice. Please mute your voice. Okay, this is a trigeneration plant where we can collect the desalinated water, electricity, and cooling effect. See, cooling effect, how it is coming. The air has been cooled by chilled water. At the end of this final dehumidifier, the temperature of air is decreased to nearly 17, 16 in our laboratory experiment, 16 to 17 degrees centigrade, the temperature of the air is decreased. So that the low temperature air can be used for centralized air conditioning, maybe institute level or maybe some other applications level. So this is the applications of this trigeneration plant where we can use this type of cooling benefits in the cold storage system or institute level or some shopping mall systems. So this is a laboratory work where the plant has been installed. First, initially it is designed after completion of the modeling, simulation and optimization. At the optimized condition, it is designed and fabrication has been made for each and every component level. You can see the components here. The vertical column shows the humidifier. Inside humidification takes place. At the top, hot water is sprayed. Hot water is coming from the solar water heating system. Actually, this is the groundwater where the more salt elements are there. After completion of the purification, at the bottom we can collect the pure water, the potable water. So after completion of this humidifier, it goes to the dehumidifier where cooling surface is maintained and the temperature of air is decreased. So like a cloud formation in the humidifier and condensation of the cloud in the dehumidifier takes place. The combination of this humidification and dehumidification is the main part of the water cycle. This water cycle is resulting the desalinated water, and same has been repeated in the second stage. This is the two-stage desalination plant. Why we are going to this two-stage plant is compared to the single-stage plant, overall yield or the energy performance is higher than the single-stage plant. That's why we designed this double-stage plant compared to the single-stage plant. And also in the second stage, the dehumidification takes place with the help of a cooling plant. Right hand side you can see the cooling plant, and the green color shows the power plant where this is the expander. Air is expanding here after heating at the solar as well as this firing. You can also see the firing unit. Internally some firing takes place, this biomass firing takes place. So this air is expanding for power generation in this turbine shown in the green color, and this entire plant is showing for the cooling generation for air conditioning system, centralized air conditioning. Cold air is coming, and then at this plant, that is the first stage and the second stage together, it is giving the desalination from the source of heat. We got some experience with the experimental setup. We are able to demonstrate the trigeneration, that's to the power cooling as well as this water production. But we experienced one difficulty, that is pressure drop. Since there are many more components are integrated together, we use the capacity of the blower is increased, that's the pressure drop is more. That's why what we switch to is here in the second drawing. This is the experimental setup. Instead of piping system, in place of piping system, we use the duct system. Same like centralized air conditioning system. The vertical duct is designed and we use for humidification column, where from at the top you can see the water has been dropped at the top, and here internally there is one heat exchanger. That heat exchanger is connected to a water cooler. At the bottom you can see a water cooler where chilled water is supplied here. Then the humidifier is flowing. This is a cross flow heat exchanger. Flowing through this cross flow heat exchanger, and condensation takes place at the bottom. From the bottom we can collect the water. We can collect the water, desalinated water. So what advantage we observed compared to the earlier laboratory setup is we are able to get the yield, but with a minimum pressure drop. That is our observation compared to the piping system. So this type of airflow, instead of designing the piping system, if you are designing the duct system, the pressure drop is decreased and the capacity of the fan is little. Here we use just 100 watts of fan only, exhaust fan only. Within 100 watts of exhaust fan, we are able to generate the more yield in terms of desalinated water. Currently, we are working with this type of two-stage desalination system, but the improved design here is, this is the name itself is showing tower type air conditioning cum water purifier. And also industries has been tie up here, this Urja Energy. Tomorrow we have section on Urja Energy. And also, since this air conditioning space control system can be used for green building technology, we also has one more industrial collaboration, the Green Builders Jalandhar and Urja Energy Engineering Hyderabad. They are interested and we are collaborated to develop this type of technology, especially at the industrial level, and then followed by the green buildings for the commercial level, commercialization to the customer level. The unique feature of this product is, you can see the series of process happens in a once through process. That is, one is the ducting system. As per our earlier experience, we didn't use any piping system here. The entire plant is operating with the ducting system. At the same time, there is no too many pipe bends like elbow or pipe joints. There is no any many duct joints, and there is no any direction change. So within the once through, that's a tower type system, a two-stage desalination has been designed. In the first stage, we can see this is the humidification column, and this is the second stage humidification column. And as usual, this is dehumidification in the first stage with the just normal water, and the second stage the dehumidification takes place directly by coupling with the vapor compression refrigeration system. See, in the vapor compression refrigeration system, the main elements is compressor, evaporator. After compressor, this is the condenser. After condenser, it goes to throttling, then followed by evaporator. Evaporator is a chilled coil where low temperature is maintained below 0 degrees centigrade. This low temperature chilled coil is used as a part of dehumidifier. So the humid air has been cooled by means of this evaporator coil. Means we can decrease the temperature of air as per our requirement, maybe 10 degrees, 12 degrees, 15 degrees or 20 degrees according to our requirement, depending upon the COP requirement. So, and not only the cooling benefit, by incorporation of this direct use of this vapor compression refrigeration system, or maybe vapor absorption in case of earlier drawing, the extra benefit is the desalination yield has been increased more compared to the single stage plant. Since we are using the direct contact of this cooling surface, the more desalination has been, that means more condensation has been resulted, the desalination is increased, and also we are getting the maybe additional benefit of air conditioning system. So the total energy conversion efficiency is increased here, and you can also see the floor space. It's maybe wall mounting system. There is no much place required for installation of this type of plant. And coming to the source, you can see the solar source here. The two forms of solar energy, one is thermal energy, the second is the photovoltaic energy. In thermal energy, the water, that's raw water or the groundwater has been used here. This temperature of water is increased. Hot water is sprayed in the humidifier. In case of seasonal variations, for example, you want the hot air in place of cold air, this hot coil can be operated. So this hot coil, that is heated coil, is used to rise the temperature of water, air, to rise the according to the requirement of the temperature. And the PV panels is meeting the parasitic power to operate the to meet the electrical demand of this compressor, this mechanical compressor, and also some fans has been used. See here the exhaust fans Here the exhaust fan is used, suction fan as well as exhaust fan is being used to meet the electrical demand of these fans as well as the pumps and compressor. Solar PV has been used. So I can say this is a grid independent plant to meet the demand of water and air conditioning systems. If the plant size is PV plant size is enough more than this parasitic power, some extra power also we can use for lighting purpose or some other air circulation purpose. While designing this type of systems, we have to keep in mind the various climatic conditions. In Punjab, the climatic conditions are very dynamic compared to some other states. Throughout the year, that means every 2 months here, the temperature, the humidity, every time it will change. So we have extreme hot conditions very close to the temperature of 48 to 49 degrees centigrade. And winter also the temperature is extremely low, very close to 0 degrees centigrade is coming. It's 1 degree, 2 degree in the month of end of December or starting of January. So how this type of systems, especially the multi-benefit system, has been designed. So some flexibility is required. Definitely to operate this type of systems at various operational conditions, some flexibility is required. See here, I am showing the flexibility in the operation of dehumidifier. Humidifier is common in all the situations except 6 months operation of this red coil and 6 months operation of this blue color coil. This red color shows the rise in temperature and this blue color shows the low in temperature, the cooling coil. So here what we can see, the dehumidifier has the options of maybe this temperature of air is decreased, that is cooled by air cooled heat exchanger or normal water cooled heat exchanger or chilled water cooled heat exchanger or directly vapor compression refrigeration evaporator or chiller coil heat exchanger. So depending upon the temperature required, here reheating coil is there. Sometimes we need to supply the hot air to the building, or sometimes we need to supply the cold air to the buildings, depending upon the requirement and also depending upon the change in the weather conditions. So either we can switch to the vapor compression mode or chilled water mode or normal water cooling mode or air cooling mode. So it is giving the flexibility to adapt the changes in the atmospheric air, that is in terms of temperature or in terms of the relative humidity. So I am showing the laboratory photos and some videos in working conditions. But before reaching to that stage, an engineer has to simulate the idea. How to simulate, starting from imagination to real product. So some support of computational methods is required, like maybe CFD or MATLAB or whatever it may be, according to the case to case it will change. If it is a power plant system, maybe some MATLAB simulation of inbuilt as mentioned yesterday, Transys or energy equation solver or MATLAB. Some support is required to reach that stage. So I am showing the different stages of this product development or process development. Most of my cases I am showing is a process development. In this process development, you can see the stage 1. First activity is a thermodynamic evaluation, analysis and optimization. As I mentioned, this is completely related to the rating activity. It is very simple calculations. That is like mass balance, energy balance. In case second law optimization, exergy balance also we have to incorporate. What is the result of this activity? The best operational conditions. We can result the best operational conditions. For example, to result the maximum yield, what the process temperature. We are spraying the hot water. At what temperature we can get the maximum yield of water or maximum energy conversion efficiency. That is the output from this activity. For this, what is the requirement? Computational models is required. Maybe inbuilt models. Mostly it is custom based. That's why we have to generate our own model. Maybe in case of the computer programming, we have to develop our own programming. And here, what is the required capacity is required. For example, a customer is saying, I need a 5 tons of refrigeration system. I need per day, I need 100 liters of drinking water. Okay, you need 100 liters of drinking water, 5 tons of refrigeration system, maybe 5 kilowatts of electricity, or maybe 50 kilowatts of electricity. Depending upon this customer requirements, the capacity can be fixed. To meet this capacity, we have to go for this calculation, that is thermodynamic optimization. At what conditions, at what capacity, at what process conditions. After finishing this first stage, the second stage is the design. In mechanical engineering, the design is one of the very important activity. In this design activity, what we are doing, simply we are finding the dimensions. I can say design is finding the dimensions. Okay, dimensions of each and every component. That is mostly here I am showing the heat exchanger, pump, turbine, etc. may be available, but the heat exchangers, if it is custom based heat exchangers, we have to design our own. Again, here computational model has been used. Here sized according to the performance. So the output from the stage 1 is supplied to the second stage. From the second stage, what is the information we are resulting? The dimensions, that is design dimensions, has been resulted. So this result of dimensions has been supplied to the experimental development. In the experimental development, what we have to do? We have to develop the that is a part drawing, assembly drawing, the component level, process level. Those drawings we have to supply to the shop floor, workshop, where they will identify that's a machine part, that's a manufacturing process. That is different. Actually, I am explaining the thermal route, that manufacturing, that's fabrication, welding, etc. That is a different part. Anyhow, in the experimental development, the plant experimental setup with instrumentation, this is the output, and the tools is manufacturing process, welding, fabrication, etc. And product development as per the design. We are making the product. In the manufacturing, what we are doing, we are making the product, and also we are doing some process development. And simulation at the experimental sites.
Yes, Professor, I would like to interrupt you now. So we have very less time left for. I would request you to kindly conclude the session so that our participants can take the benefit to interact with you.
Okay, I am concluding. Within 1 minute, I will conclude. This experimentation, simulation. Actually, simulation is 2 parts, like post-COVID and pre-COVID and post-COVID. Similarly, here also pre-design and post-design. Pre-design simulation is very simple, because in pre-design we are not feeding any dimensions. The size information is not supplied. It's simple thermodynamic simulation. But post-design is more complicated, because in the post-design we are giving the shape of the components and size of the component, material characteristics like conductivity, fluid characteristics like viscosity. So it's more complicated. What I am showing is this is the post-design simulation. That's why it is not smooth. If you see the pre-design simulation, the curves are very smooth, and without any interruptions it will come. It is considered all practical aspects. There is no much assumptions. That's why you can see the results with randomly it is changing with the variations in the climatic conditions or variations in the process conditions. And also we can see that both the experimental results as well as this post-design results are compared together to get the whether that design model is validated or not. That what we assumed in the post-design or pre-design is correct or not. That has been validated by comparing the observation obtained from the laboratory. This is also results that's similar post-design results we did for the single stage, 2-stage desalination system, and also total desalination. I told you this fabricated heat, and each and every heat exchanger has been fabricated, designed as well as fabricated at the component level. This is also the component, this drawing, we prepared the drawing for humidifier. This is the fabricated heat exchanger. First it is a design, design drawing, later you can see the actual product. This is also product based, this is a dehumidifier. Limiting my presentation due to lack of time. This is a one solar concentrating collector. We use 11 meters square for the tri-generation plant. You can see how heat is generating. Are you able to see the heating coil? That's receiver. You can see the temperature of receiver is increasing. Surrounded fluid is getting heat, and you can see like it fumes. I have many videos like demonstration of desalination, etc. But due to lack of time, I'm skipping. And one difficulty we faced while operation of this desalination plant, one is at the bottom air has been leaked. So actually air has to flow from the top and not at the bottom. The bottom is meant for to reject the brine water, but along with the reject water, air also it is escaping. So what we did is, actually it is not in our design, but due to this instantaneous problems we face, what we did is we designed a small buffer tank. This water tank, what after incorporating this water tank, it is acting as a seal. After adding this water tank, what we observed is this buffer water storage tank has been acted as a seal. Then it is not allowing any escape of the leak from the bottom side. This I want to share my difficulties. We faced many difficulties before implementing successfully. This is the performance results. Generally, instead of showing the total results, if you are showing the specific results, that is useful to researchers as well as engineers, because for example, I am running a tri-generation plant or polygeneration plant with a air flow rate of 100 meter cube per hour or 500 meter cube per hour. The total results won't give any information. But if I am showing the results in terms of specific, like let us say some grams per meter cube of air, or some cooling also kilowatts per meter cube of air, then that is more useful information. And these are the various steps involved in the design optimization. I am showing the final design only, but before reaching to the final design, we have so many iterations. We have so many iterations in the design to avoid the pressure loss. Stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, I am showing. Finally, this is one of the work we are doing currently at NIT Jalandhar. This is the polygeneration. I am not going to explain much about the component level as well as this process level. This polygeneration is designed for drinking water, either hot air or cold air, for air conditioning process, year-round air conditioning, and electricity, extra electricity from the solar PV panel, hot water. One more arrow I can show. This is hot water for maybe bathing, kitchen, and desalination. So these are the multiple benefits. It's beyond the tri-gen. Earlier tri-generation I am showing 3 outputs only. This is more than 3 outputs. More than 3 outputs it is generating. This is this type of polygeneration unit. And I mentioned earlier the freezing type desalination. In the freezing type desalination, that's ICs required. ICs has been framed here. But like I mentioned, Jammu and Kashmir, some special states, this type of technology can be practiced. And majority of whatever I discussed now is they are in patented. This is under examination. Currently, the status is under examination. The tri-generation, some polygeneration, combined cooling power, etc. I must thank the Indian government for supporting from idea level to the product level as well as the process level, the CSIR, SCRB, and currently ongoing project desalination plant. Thank you. This type of polygeneration basically it has one of the challenge. Justification is one of the challenge, and cost justification as well as this engineering justification is one of the challenge. And finally, these studies, analysis, optimization is resulting some best conditions, some practice like process conditions and design optimization and pre-design simulation, process of post-design simulation results, etc. Thank you. Now it's time for introduction.
Thank you, Professor, for a highly motivative and highly informative lecture on utilization of solar thermal energy in polygeneration. Before inviting the participant for interaction, I would like to brief you a brief about you to the participants. Dr. Srinivas is an assistant professor in the Department of Mechanical Engineering at Dr. B.R. Ambedkar National Institute of Technology, Jalandhar. He previously worked as a professor at the CO2 Research and Green Technology Center of the School of Mechanical Engineering at VIT Vellore. He worked as a postdoctoral fellow with Faculty of Engineering and Applied Sciences at the University of Ontario Institute of Technology, Canada. Professor has obtained his master's and PhD from JNTUH College of Engineering, Hyderabad in 2002 and 2008. Professor has published more than 200 such articles in various international national journals of repute, as well as in conference proceedings. He has contributed 8 book chapters in the area of energy efficiency and integrated system, and has published 3 reference books titled Flexible Kalina Cycle System, Desalination and Cooling Integration, Thermocycle of Heat Recovery Power Plant. And Professor has already completed 2 projects from CSIR and SERV, and presently also working on a SERV imprint project. Professor has 22 years of teaching experience and guided more than 5 PhD scholars. So now I would like to request all the participants to interact with the professor for the
Hello.
Hello.
Hello, Dr. Sab, really very much pleased and astonished about the complication, because at our level, though there had been some basic understanding, sir, I would like to seek that for designing various type of customized those plants, what are the basic qualification required of a person? What the designer, what he should have the basic criteria of his qualification?
Equation.
Yeah, person ability, his qualification for designing such type of customized plants.
Yeah, to design, yes, it's one.
Yeah. Who is eligible? Who is capable to design such customized plants?
Yeah. Now the standard design is ASME standard designs are available. The American Standard Mechanical Engineer. ASME is they are best in heat exchanger design. The standards are available as per ASME, I am saying, and based on their ASME standards in terms of material and in terms of the equations, what we did is we adopted the same standards. If any engineer wants to design certain heat exchangers design, the basic requirement is, the first one is the properties. Single fluid level, the properties are available in the literature, it is well established. But the binary fluid system, especially for this type of cooling concentration system, thermophysical properties are not developed much. So engineer has to develop his own thermophysical properties, because thermodynamic properties is available. So at certain level it is available. In my book also, mostly nearly 50 pages of the this book, I reported the thermodynamic as well as thermophysical properties. At the end of this book, as appendix, we can find the thermophysical properties. So the engineer directly can pick the thermophysical properties without making any extra model, because chemical engineers are experts in making the thermophysical properties. Mechanical engineer mostly is applied, I can say this is the applied engineer. Whatever the properties developed by chemical engineer, we can apply it. We can apply and we can make the size, we can design the heat exchanger.
Yeah.
But it is not difficulty, certain level it is available.
Good. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Clear, sir. Very clear.
Thank you, Chandra.
Sir, whether you have, what about the system you designed? You go to the intellectual property, any such type of that approval? I know you are aware about intellectual property, IP.
We filed IP for every project.
Every pattern. Suppose any.
We have registered, now it is almost in climax. That means examination stage. And I want to add one point. We should not do this type of experiment without taking the support from the industries, because this is chemically, working fluids are chemical hazardous, And we should not use the Carina based applications at the domestic level. Like one participants mentioned, it is a cold storage. That is industrial applications. We can go for industrial applications, but not at the domestic applications. At the same time, faculty alone should not do without support from the industries, because safety is one of the very important while designing boiler and while designing operating with heat. Safety, leakage, they are very important. Safety is first. Safety is first. We have to give first preference to the safety while doing this type of system. But HDH, what I explained in the second plant, this atmospheric air, there is no pressure parts. Atmospheric air simply flowing with the help of a small fan, let us say 100 watts fan, small domestic, or what we are using in kitchen. That fan is sufficient for small 100 meter cube per hour. I am saying there is no any harm in chemicals. But once we are doing the Carina based technology, definitely we have to work under the specialized guidance experts. This I want to.
Professor Srinivas, good afternoon, sir. This is Dr. Mohan Jagdish Kumar from Visakhapatnam.
Dr. Mohan Jagdish.
Sir, very nice to see your lecture, sir. I really appreciate your efforts in solar thermoengineering applications. I just want to know what kind of instrumentation is needed for these type of work. For example, to measure the temperatures, pressures, mass flow rates, because temperatures are very extreme. Somewhere near to the solar cycle, it would be very high, and fluids also sometimes they are two-phase fluids. So, what kind of instrumentation we require? That is my first question. And second one is how the readings, observations have been made. Have you used any software like LabVIEW or something like that, or it is a continuous manual observations? What kind of instrumentation is best suited for this type of work?
Okay, the first is instrumentation. Instrumentation depending upon the temperature we have to select. If you are keeping a temperature element at the solar concentrating receiver, we have to go for that thermocouple with the temperature. That is, we are using the metals, whether that metal is sufficient to resist the temperature or not, that we have to cross check. And for flow rate, we use the rotameter. Air flow rate rotameter is sufficient. The simple rotameter is sufficient to measure the air flow rate in a desalination system, because our flow rate is nearly 100 meter cube per hour, or more than 100 meter cube per hour we use. Rotameter is sufficient to find the flow rate in the air, that is maybe compressed air or atmospheric air. And next is the temperature. Desalination temperature is very low, I can say below 60 degrees centigrade only. So any ordinary thermocouples is sufficient for desalination plant thermocouples. But once we are going for high temperature, once that is one receiver I showed, solar concentrating collector, at that we have to use the costly some different high temperature resistance elements. And coming to observations, we use the online means computer integrated system. So continuously it will monitor. We can select the time gap, let us say 1 minute. So starting from the operation to till ending of the operation, it will record continuously in the computer lab. You may connect to your system, like desktop or laptop. In Excel file, it will record all the observations. What are the observations we have in terms of temperature? For example, we have 20 temperatures, so T1, T2, T3, all temperatures continuously it will record, and also flow rate. So it is like a ready-made. Once the operation is completed after 5 hours or 6 hours, simply you can download that Excel files so that you can plot accordingly. That is the data. In case small, for example, I showed one of the student project, the duct system. That is not a system integrated system. That what we manually also we can collect the temperature as well as the flow rate with some 5 minutes difference of the time gap, because solar system starting from sunrise to sunset continuously we have to operate for the dynamic study, because that is a transient model. Most of the solar thermal systems are operating on transient model, means it is a dynamic simulation is required. The steady state simulation is simply it is an assumption, maybe for thermodynamic calculations that may be fine, but for the experimental side, the experimental simulation is a transient, that is a transient means it's a dynamic simulation is required. For that, the continuous monitoring is required starting from sunrise to sunset, at least sun hours. The sun hours may be 6 hours or 7 hours depending upon the climatic conditions as well as the location. So based on the plant nature of the polygeneration plant, we have to select the instruments as well as its observations. In case ammonia is the working fluid, ammonia and water is the working fluid, we have very carefully we have to select the instruments, because some of the instruments having the elements of copper elements or bronze elements, even pipe fittings also. So we have to avoid that type of material, that's copper, bronze, etc. In the instrumentation, because simply corrosion takes place. The instruments after some time it will create the leakage because of the working fluid. So some material we have to select while doing the instrumentation with the fluids, the chemical fluids like aqua, ammonia, etc. For atmospheric air, there is no such issue. You can select any type of instruments. But only for aqua, ammonia, chemical based fluids, we have to carefully select the instrumentation material.
Thank you, Professor.
Thank you.
Sir, can I ask one more question?
Sure. No problem.
Sir, actually, the intensity would be very high during the afternoon session, and anyway, during morning and evening, the intensity will be very low. I hope the overall efficiency of the system is also strongly dependent on solar intensity. So these kind of variable efficiency, how it could be handled for these type of massive structures? So that is one doubt. Because the capacity when you are designing at the beginning, will it be for a maximum capacity, right? But the variations is completely very huge over the daytime. So how these could be handled when at the design part as well as at the operating part?
So the performance is two types. One is the instantaneous efficiency. The second is the total efficiency. Yesterday also Dr. Srinivas Reddy raised this point. He explained the total efficiency means, for example, from morning to evening, how much total energy. For example, in the curvature time radiation graph, the area under the in the thermodynamics area under PV diagram we are saying as work. Similarly, solar radiation also, the total cumulative energy we can calculate, maybe experimental actually available solar radiation or simulated solar radiation. That is the input to the entire plant. So as per that input, this much units has been supplied to the plant. How many units you converted from morning to evening? That is the efficiency, the daily efficiency I can say. Similarly, radiation also we are simulating on monthly average based, daily average based, and instantaneous based. For example, now I am giving the day, time, and these conditions, climatic, that's location. At this instant, what is solar radiation? That is instantaneous radiation. So from morning to evening or the month of October, how much radiation? That is the average. So we have to consider the average values. In this type of simulation, we have to take the total value, not the instantaneous value. The total value only is more useful for the solar system design. Instantaneous value really actually that is misleading. If I am designing at summer condition, how I can operate in winter? If I am designing at winter condition, how I can operate in the summer? So you have to consider all the average situations starting from January to December. That cumulative values we have to take. I can say that is average value. In fact, the radiation they are taking for 10 years period. Simulation we are doing with the data collected for 10 years. Minimum 10 years I am saying.
Okay, Professor. Thank you.
Thank you.
So what type of boiler? What type of boiler that used in mostly?
You're asking my plant example. So, shell and tube heat exchanger boiler I use. Sorry, the shell and tube condenser I use. Falling film heat exchanger. I use falling film heat exchanger for the boiler. Falling film is completely different compared to the coil type shell and tube heat exchanger.
Thank you, Professor, for a highly interactive session. So before to close the session, conclude the session, I would like to take another question.
Yeah.
Anybody from the participant would like to? Yes, please.
Can I ask one question, sir?
Yeah, sure, sir. Go ahead.
Sanjay.
In the desalination process, sir, how we can avoid the excess of freezing in the evaporator, sir?
Controlling temperature, freezing, you are asking the freezing of the atmospheric air.
Evaporator, in the desalination process, sir, using the thermal cooling.
Clear.
Can you type in a chat box?
Audible, sir? Yeah, sure, sir.
Will be typing, I will 1 minute, I am reading.
I thought there may be some connectivity issue. So, Professor, I think we should conclude the session now. So, thank you, Professor, for a highly interactive session and informative session on utilization of solar thermal energy in poly generation cycles. So, I also thank the participants to be with us in the morning session, and I invite you all in the next morning session, which will be on heat transfer enhancement techniques, be the case study of artificial roughened solar heater by Professor Subhash Chandra. Thank you. The next session will start at 11:30.
Okay, we'll meet 11:30. We have 10 minutes gap break. Okay, thank you and we'll meet again 10:30.
Thank you, Professor.
Thank you. Bye. I'm leaving this session.